So I think, yeah, I have discussed the communication and transport facility. Production process is also uh, completed. Okay, then machinery and equipment. Okay, a complete list of machines and equipments required, indicating their size, type, cost, and sources of their supply, should be enclosed with the project report. Okay, so what kind of a machinery do you need? Okay, so what kind of a machinery do you need, or what kind of equipments are needed? What is the quantity in which you need? What is the size of the machine or the equipments that are required for you to run your production process? And what is the cost of those machines? And where can you get those machines from? Okay, so everything in detail have to be again mentioned in this project report. Okay, the next one is capacity of the plant. The installed licensed capacity of the plant, along with the shifts, should also be mentioned in the project reports. Okay, so capacity of the plant in the sense, for example, you're producing a product A in your organization or in a factory, for example. Now, what is the capacity of your plant? I mean, can you produce 100 units of those in a month? Okay, can you produce 50 units of those in the month? That defines the capacity of the plant. Again, the capacity of the plant depends on the manpower that is available with you and the machines or the equipments or the how efficient is the process running. All those factors matters, I mean, contribute in deciding the capacity of the plant. Okay, the next one is technology selected. The selection of technology, arrangements made for acquiring it, should be mentioned in the business plan. Okay, so what technology are you trying to implement in your process? Okay, and where is it? How are you acquiring it? What is the mode of requirement? Okay, so all those in detail again have to be mentioned in this project report. The next one is research and development, and it should be made in the project report regarding proposed research and development activities to be undertaken in the near future. Okay, so basically, what kind of a research or development that you intend to make available in your organization, so that again has to be discussed in the project report, right? So the next one is all right. So the next one is market potential. While preparing a project report, the following aspects related to market potential of the product should be stated in the report. So, what are these, aspects that should be mentioned in the report? The first one is demand and supply position. State the total expected demand for the product and present supply position. What is the gap between demand and supply, and how much gap will fill up by the proposed unit? Okay, so it is very easy to understand that if you want to analyze the demand and supply position, first of all you got to know the total expected demand of that particular product that which you intend to produce, and also you got to look into the current supply position or the current supply levels of that particular product in the present scenario, and then you need to analyze the gap between what is the demand and what is the supply, and then you also need to mention that how much of this gap will be filled by the production unit that which you're proposing. Okay, so that again has to be done very carefully. The next one is expected price. So expected price of the product to be realized should also be mentioned. For example, you're producing a product. Okay, let us say you're producing a jacket. Now you require raw materials, you require manpower, you require machinery, you require equipments, tools, and whatnot. And all those comes with certain price. And with all the efforts that has been put in, and finally when the product is ready for marketing, then you should select the price for that particular product. Okay. Now, you know how do you rate the pricing of that particular product? Depends on that. It would be marketed in the markets available across the world. And again, while you're pricing a product, you should be very careful that you do not overburden the price for the consumer point of view, or you cannot also underburden yourself, making a loss for yourself. So even that is not accepted. Okay, so in between you have to settle for the price of the product. The next one is marketing strategy. Arrangement made for selling the product should be clearly stated in the project report. So you have produced the product, now it's time to sell that product into the market. Okay, now how will you sell it? Who are the distributors for your product? Okay, and what is the strategy that you have applied so that your product at last reaches the consumers? So that again has to be scheduled or discussed or illustrated in detail. The next one is after sales service. Depending upon the nature of the product, provisions made for after sales should normally be stated in the project report. For example, you're manufacturing a refrigerator and then you sell it to a consumer. Now after that, okay, if there is some problem, or if the consumer wants your help in resolving any of the issues for that refrigerator, you again need to be ready for it, and that again also need to be mentioned in the project report. Okay. The next one is capital costs and sources of finance. An estimate of the various components of the capital items like land and building, plant and machinery, installation cost, preliminary expenses, margin of working capital should be given in the project report. The source should indicate the owner's funds together with the funds raised from financial institutions and banks. Okay, so every component that that contributes in starting up with the project. For example, land, building, plant, machinery, manpower. Okay, machinery's installation cost. Okay, expert cost, or there are n number of costs that one should go through before starting up the project, and that should be clearly indicated. And also you also got to indicate from where are you getting the money from, who are the source of finance for your project. So that again needs to be mentioned in detail along with your own contribution. Okay, so that is a key point in the project report. All right, the next one is okay. The next one is assessment of working capital. Requirement for working capital and its sources of supply should clearly be mentioned. It is preferred to prepare working capital requirements in the prescribed formats designed by the limits of requirements. It will reduce the objection from the banker's side. Okay. Again, working capital is nothing but the money that you invest in the working components of the project that you plan to kickstart. Okay, that again needs to be mentioned. Okay, and if you mention that in a systematic way in the prescribed format, then you're more presentable to the bankers. Otherwise, they may object to the project report that you have submitted. Okay. The next one is other financial aspects. Okay, so what are the other financial aspects? The first one is cost of production. For example, you're producing 100 units of a product in a day. Now, what is the cost of every product that you have produced? Okay, what is the cost of production of each unit? Okay, that makes up to the cost of production. Okay, the next one is projected profit. Okay, now by after you're selling the product, and from selling that product, what is the profit that you have imagined or you have expected? Okay, that again also needs to be mentioned. Expected sales, for example, how many units of the product would be sold in a month or in a week or in a day? That would be the expected sales. That again needs to be mentioned. The next one is revenue. Okay, again, loss account. For example, if something goes wrong and the results are not as per the expectation, then what could be the loss that could burden you? That again also need to be clearly stated. The next one is a break-even point. Okay, so break-even point is calculated as F divided by S minus V, where F is fixed cost, S is selling price per unit, V is variable cost per unit. So basically, it is to say that a break-even point is a point where there is no profit, no loss. Okay, so whatever you have invested, you have got it back. Okay, so that makes up for the break-even point. Okay, that again needs to be mentioned in the project report. Next one is economical and social variables. In addition, the following socio-economic benefits should also be stated in the project report. Okay. For example, you're starting up the project, you have mentioned all the profits that you can get. Okay. But apart from that, what are the benefits that you can give to economy of the country as well as to the society in which you are trying to establish yourself? Right? The first one is employment generation. Whenever there is a new project that is to kickstart, there will be the generation of this employment. Okay, so if you can generate the employment in a huge quantity, then your social responsibility holds good in this particular situation. The next one is import substitution. For example, if there is a similar product which has been more imported in larger quantities from some foreign countries, and if you're producing the same product, okay, then you can have a substitute for that import product. That could also be a social impact or the economical impact as well. The next one is ancillation. So whenever there is a larger product to be projects to be started, then many smaller industries get benefited. Okay, so ancillation or ancillary industry means that they are the supporting industry. They provide the raw materials. They provide the required tools for the larger projects that are established in the nearby. The next one is exports. Okay, so by having a new industry or by producing something unique, what you can do is you can also promote the export, or you can increase the export ratio of this country and hence contribute economically as well. The next one is local resource utilization. Okay, so basically When you start up with a project, when you're planned for producing a product, what you require is you require raw materials. And if the raw materials are locally available, then even the individuals who are producing those raw materials will be benefited. The next one is development of the area. Even that is also possible if you start up with new ideas or you come up with new industry or innovative industry. Okay, so that again have a bigger impact on the society or on the area in which you are planning to locate. So that again has to be mentioned in your project. Right. The last one is a project implementation. Okay. So at the end, details of schedules of implementation of various tasks of the projects are to be included. Every entrepreneur should draw an implementation schemes or a timetable for his project to the timely completion of all the activities involved in setting up an enterprise. If there is a delay in implementation of the project, cost overrun. Delay in project implementation jeopardizes the financial viability of the project. On one hand, it props up the entrepreneur to drop the idea to set up an enterprise. On the other, hence there is need to drop an implementation schedule for the project and then to adhere to it. So basically, it is to project implementation is nothing but to draw the timetable for all the process that go in the completion of this project. Okay, for example, there are 10 stages of or 10 process. Okay, for the uh, you know product to come up at last. So every stage of the production should be clearly scheduled. Should be clearly scheduled. Okay, so once you do that, okay, you never overrun on the cost of the implementation of cost of the project. If you have strict schedule or if you adhere to the timetable, if you have planned it properly, then there is no point of discussing the cost overrun of the project. Okay, and that's why project implementation is nothing but scheduling the processes that are included in the project and then adhering to it so that you don't overrun the cost. Right. Right. The next one is planning commission guidelines. Okay. So there are some certain guidelines that have been given by the planning commission, for formulating the project report or for formulating the contents of the project report. So let us see one by one. The first one is general information. So the feasibility report should include an analysis of the industry to which the project belongs. It should deal with the past performance of the industry. The description of the type of the industry all should also be given. That is the priority. So basically, general information includes the study of the industry in which you are trying to implement the project and which you are trying to start up the project. What is the scope of that industry? What is the present state of that industry? That should clearly mention in the project report. The next one is preliminary analysis of the alternatives. Now this should contain present data on the gap between demand and supply for the outputs which are to be produced, data on the capacity that would be available from the projects that are in production or under implementation at the point of time the report is prepared. A complete list of all existing plants in the industry, giving their capacity and their level of production actually attained. A list of all projects for which letters of intent licenses have been issued and a list of proposed projects. Okay, so basically, preliminary analysis of an alternative is nothing but analyzing the demand and supply position. Okay, so basically, it is to, as I've stated before, also, you got to have you got to make research on the total demand that this particular product which you plan to produce have in the society or in the market. Okay, along with that, what are the different industries or what are the different projects which are contributing or which are producing similar product? So that makes the present supply position, and then you go to analyze the gap, and then you got to analyze the gap between the demand and supply, and then you got to bridge in that gap, and in what capacity can you bridge in the gap, that also needs to be mentioned in the project report. These are nothing but these are the guidelines given by the planning commission. The next one is project description. Now, the project description feasibility report should provide a brief description of the technology and process chosen for the project. Information relevant for determining the optimality of the location chosen should also be included. So basically, project description is nothing but to describe your project. Okay. So what are the process that you that you intend to include in this project? What are the machineries needed, what are the technology that is needed, what are the different stages of the process that one should go through in order to produce the final product. Okay, and also regarding the location, why you have chosen the location, what are the advantages of that location, what are the utilities that this location attract, everything have to be discussed in detail. Again, you've already seen the formulation of the project report. It is nothing but the same things, I know, which are almost similar things which are been given by the planning commission. The next one is marketing plan. It should contain the following items: data on the product, marketing plan, demand and prospective supply in each of the areas to be served. So basically, how are you gonna market your product? Okay, who are your distributors? Okay, and how do you market your product in the market, and how are you gonna attract the consumers or the customers or the end users, and make them buy your product? So that strategies again have to be discussed in the project report. The next one is capital requirement and cost. The estimate should be reasonably complete and properly estimated. Information on all items of cost should be carefully collected and presented. So capital requirement. Why do you require the money for? Okay, where are you investing the money, or where you trying to you know spend the money on? Are you going to spend the money on the machinery, on the manpower, on the labor? And if yes, in what quantities are you spending it? So that all needs to be mentioned. The next one is operating requirements and costs. Operating costs are essentially those costs which are incurred after the commencement of commercial production. Information about all items of operating cost should be collected. Operating costs relate to the cost of raw materials and intermediaries, fuel, utilities, labor, repair and maintenance, selling expenses, and other expenses. Okay, so basically, these are nothing but to estimate the cost of these all items which have been listed over there. For example, raw materials, fuel, utilities, labor, repair and maintenance, selling expenses, and other expenses. So all should be analyzed carefully. The next one is financial analysis. The purpose of this analysis is to present some measures to assess the financial viability of the project. A performance balance sheet for the project data should be presented. Depreciation should be allowed for on the basis specified by Bureau of Public Enterprises. Okay, so financial analysis is nothing but you know uh, studying the viability of the process in a financial aspect, okay, or in the viewpoint of finance, okay, that itself is called as financial analysis. Okay, the next one is economic analysis. Social profitability analysis needs some adjustments in the data relating to the costs and return to the enterprise. One important item of adjustment involves correction in input and cost to reflect the true value of foreign exchange, labor, and capital. Okay. So basically, economic analysis in general means how is this project gonna contribute economically to the nation. Okay, or also you can discuss the social profitability that the society could have by this particular project which is at your hand. So that again has different parameters that needs to be discussed and finally presented in the report. All right, so this is these are the guidelines given by the planning commission.